Daybreak Africa is your one-stop top-notch breakfast show that brings you all the interesting stories happening in and around Africa.
Because we have all the morning essentials,
including the latest news, sports, weather, and events.
And of course, the people.
Daybreak Africa on Television Nigeria.
Weekdays, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m.
Good morning, Nigeria's Good Morning, Africa. My name is Messi Joe, and welcome to Daybreak Africa.
On Television Nigeria. My name is Elvis Oga. Good morning, Messi.
Good morning, Elvis.
How was your night?
It's fine. You look well switched up this morning.
You look well kitted up too, like you had studied me from your home.
Yeah, I had this thought that this is how you appear today.
So you had to come up with something that will compliment you.
Yes, I just had to come up. You know, I have to keep up with you.
That's good.
That's good. Gambari has been announced now, officially announced as the new chief of staff to the president.
And a whole lot of reactions have been trailing his appointment. But basically, we've seen a very high number of positive recommendations or commendations of this appointment. People actually giving thumbs up and thumbs up to the president for getting it right, especially looking away or disappointing so many people that want to label him in one way or the other, which we know that he is not like that.
Yeah, he's not just an academic or a diplomat, he's actually a very fine Nigerian man and a very nice man, particularly because people have experience
that can be deployed to make sure that we get our nation back on track, more back on track, even though because we've actually been doing a lot in recent times.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. Congratulations, Gambari. We hope to see you more. But people are saying, Nigerians are not saying again. I think there was this word they quoted and said, Gambari has been appointed for the president and to the president and not to Nigerians.
That actually came when he was answering questions from the correspondent at the State House yesterday. When he was asked what Nigeria should be expecting from him. He said he is not to report directly to Nigerians but directly to the president.
To the president.
So he's actually waiting to get orders from the president on how to go about his business. And then there's something he said which actually made people to say that he knows what he wants, that he knows his worth, when he was saying he got that appointment because his experience and knowledge is needed for success.
So much confidence, Gambari. Okay, new cases in Nigeria, 184 new cases in Nigeria, totaling 4,971 cases in Nigeria.
We've actually been expressing that fear that probably by Friday we're actually drawing close to the 5,000.
Yes, you were saying in just one state alone, probably Lagos, we can be 5,000.
It's a very sad one. I just wish we don't get this far with this deadly pandemic, but the much that is needed is being done, even though there is still room for improvement. And we've been seeing different people react to the pandemic in different ways across different states of the federation, just like we've had it across different countries of the world. You were sharing an experience with me where some of the people in the isolation center were being asked questions.
Yes, I was sharing an experience of some of the patients in the isolation center. I wasn't sharing an experience. People in the isolation center, someone particularly yesterday, and she spoke about how there have been reservations in the hospital. She talked about them segmenting and sectionalizing everything, the VIP section, the lower masses section,
the middle class.
Yes, the middle class. And she said she was taken to the 12-bedded ward, which is for the lower masses in the country. And she talked about some rooms being kept reserved particularly for the VIPs. There are 2 rooms that when she came in, 2 rooms were actually kept aside. And when she, I think some days into her being in the isolation center, she now found out that children of some supposed elites in the country, they were the ones that the rooms were being kept for.
Okay, ordinarily one would want to look at the sectionalization or segmenting of this from the health perspective. Let's say how severe the infection is with a particular patient, instead of looking at it from
But it actually wasn't a matter of severity according to what she said.
So she said.
Yeah, she said she talked about not wanting to be in that 12-bedded ward, so they took her to the children's ward where she was the only one now there.
Okay, people are actually looking at the strength of the immune system of people from this part of the world, where people with this particular ailment or this disease we've seen from different parts of the world don't really have that strength. They can rarely breathe. But from this part of the world, we have people who have been diagnosed with this thing and can stand up to protest.
She talked about people that have still been in the isolation center for weeks
without
still knowing their results. Her results came in 9 days after, but she wasn't even in the isolation center when she was being tested. After being tested, she was still in her home, being isolated till they came to pick her up that she has. It's been confirmed that she tested positive. And my question at that point in time was 9 days. Is 9 days not too long to bring out the test result of that particular person?
I think that's why when Senegal was talking about bringing out test kit that could produce results or that could make results known in less than 24 hours, it received high applause and utmost attention from different parts of the world. So if we can try to get it right in that regard, it would be nice. You were also talking about this particular person sharing how their meal or their dieting was.
And she talked about, she said they only allowed, like your family members are only allowed to bring food once in a day for each patient. Now she talked about how can I be eating yam in the morning, eba in the afternoon, and still something solid at night, that the meal are not favorable as far as she's concerned.
In as much as we would want to see improvement in some needed areas, first of all, let's applaud the government for the much they have been trying to do.
I asked one question that I wanted to see a counter to that question. I asked their health service, is it free? Yes, she said it's free.
It's free.
So the health service, imagine you are going to run the cost of treating COVID-19 solely by yourself or your family. What would be the case?
No matter the drug you use, you know how much it can get you a full dose of this drug. Okay, if you are even treating for normal pneumonia, that you can use crystalline or any of this other drug. By the time you take the injection for 7 days or the required number of days to complete the dose or the dosage, you know how much you must have spent. And then we are talking about almost 5,000 people being catered for by the government.
I mean, the government are trying. They're really trying. She said each of them are given a pack of water, and anytime it finishes, they come to always replace the water. They all have their drugs in cellophane nylon for them with face masks that they always use and always have to be on it. So their drugs are there. They take their drugs by themselves. She said they check their temperature just once every day. That's in the morning. Doctors, although she said something, the doctors don't regularly come to check up on them.
Considering the fact that the pandemic is sort of emergency, that the government was not really prepared for, the world was not even prepared for this thing. So for the government to be able to manage it to this extent, bringing up guidelines that could help curb the spread of this virus, and then from the story she shared, I could understand that the family members are only allowed to bring food for them once a day. If you check the intent or the intention of that, is just to reduce the contact with these people, which might put them at risk of contracting this illness. So once in a day, it's okay if you look at it from that angle.
No, it's actually okay for once in a day. I think she also talked about when she was coming to the hospital, when they came to pick her up, situation where the nurses and other health personnel that were there, were actually brought out their phones to want to start videoing those that were coming in as the new cases. She also talked about probably they're trying to politicize the COVID-19, but there were no evidence to back all of those things that she said, because she was online and people were listening to her. So she said some people that have been there that have not been tested yet. Some people are there, have been tested, but they haven't gotten their result. She said there's a lady who has been there for a month. She still doesn't know her status, if she's positive or negative. So I think somehow, this is where NCDC comes in and check what is actually going on. Let people understand. Because if these people have access to their phones, they can sabotage everything. You may not really understand. They get to send messages across to their family members. Their family members convey this kind of messages to social media.
In as much as there are some shortcomings that want to make people see reasons why they will say this whole thing might be politicized. We've seen how real the COVID-19 is, and we keep preaching it anytime we come up here. But the fact is, let people not doubt whatever is happening, and then those gaps that they are talking about, like you said, let the NCDC come in to see that, okay, those gaps are filled.
And what people would have particularly loved to hear is a patient that is active with the case to tell us more about how the person is feeling. When asked that questions, what were the symptoms you were feeling before you got tested for the virus? She talked about sore throat, having sore throat, constant headache for over a week before she got tested.
And she failed to talk about how she's feeling now, to ascertain if there's improvement.
Exactly. She only talked about when I take these drugs, I visit the toilet and I stay there for almost all the day.
Wow.
Yeah. So quite a lot of talk about there, but that's certainly to experience from an active patient. We have Susan Achin with us.
Good morning.
Good morning, Susan.
Good morning, Susan.
Good morning, Elvis.
Just your smile.
Finally, you both look dashing.
Thank you very much. We try.
Left out.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so what's in the news today?
Yeah, lots of things happening. Of course, you're already talking about the appointment of the new COs.
Yes.
COS.
Chief of Staff.
Beg your pardon, yes. And a lot of other things. NAFDAC coming to refute certain rumors making around, and of course, the business world and the entertainment scene.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're going
I'd love to hear more.
Of course, so much. We're going onto the news desk to get more details. I'm not seeing anything.
Guy on the beat.
We apologize for that little hitch. Good morning and welcome to AM News. I am Susan Achin. President Muhammadu Buhari has appointed renowned diplomat and former Minister of External Affairs, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, as his new Chief of Staff. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Mr. Boss Mustafa, announced the appointment before the commencement of the Federal Executive Council meeting on Wednesday. Following his appointment, Professor Gambari arrived at the presidential villa for the FEC meeting, which was presided by President Muhammadu Buhari and his Vice President Yemi Osinbajo in attendance. Professor Gambari replaces the former Chief of Staff to the President, Abba Kyari, who died on April 17, 2020 due to complications from COVID-19. Meanwhile, the new Chief of Staff to the President has said that his office is solely for the service of his principal. Disclosing this via a telephone interview, the ardent scholar said that Nigerians should expect a very loyal, dedicated and efficient service to the President, adding that he would be making sure that President Buhari's priorities are carried out efficiently and properly. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control (NCDC) has confirmed 184 new cases of COVID-19 in Nigeria. This brings the number of confirmed COVID-19 cases to 4,971 nationwide. 1,070 patients have been discharged, while 164 deaths have so far been recorded. The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control (NAFDAC) has reacted to claims of herbal COVID-19 remedies. The agency said that all claims of local remedies for COVID-19 are domiciled in either the conventional news media or social media. In a statement by the Director General of the agency, Mojísọ́lá Adéyẹ, said that they only received an application from one company for a product it's presenting for approval to the agency for the treatment of the symptoms of COVID-19 and not for the cure of COVID-19 as a disease. Moving on, the Nigerian Air Force says it is deploying more personnel to the Air Task Force in Maiduguri, the Borno State capital, to boost the counterinsurgency operations. Chief of Air Staff Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar disclosed this on Wednesday during an operational visit to the state. According to him, the visit was to review and adopt new strategic formats for the conduct of operations and to appraise the efforts and achievements so far. Now, 26 recovered COVID-19 patients in Lagos were discharged yesterday from Yaba, Onikon and Lagos University Teaching Hospital Luth isolation facilities to reunite with the society. Those discharged included 13 males and 13 females, all Nigerians, bringing the total number of confirmed cases that have been successfully managed and discharged in Lagos to 528. Similarly, Osun State has recorded 3 additional cases of the novel coronavirus. The State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Rafiu Isamoto, announced in a statement on Wednesday. Isamoto disclosed that the 3 new patients are contacts of previously confirmed cases in the state. He added that the new cases had increased the tally of active cases in the state to 7. Also, the Edo State government has extended the curfew in the state for an extra 14 days. This follows the continuous spread of the COVID-19 pandemic in the country. The Secretary to the State Government, Osarodion Ogie, in a statement on Wednesday, said the curfew, which is effective between 8 p.m. and 6 p.m. daily, was extended to limit movement within the state at night. We now move into the world of business, where the Federal Executive Council has approved the revised medium-term expenditure framework and the 2020 budget. The revised estimates are based on $25 per barrel of crude oil at a production rate of 1.94 million barrels per day. Earlier, Minister of Finance Zainab Ahmed had hinted that the government would make the revision based on declining international oil prices and the impact of the coronavirus pandemic. And on the entertainment scene, Nigerian singer Wizkid and his first baby mama Oluwa Nishola Ogudu have taken to social media to celebrate their son Boluwatife Balogun on his 9th birthday anniversary yesterday, May 13, 2020. Shola was the first to take to her page on Twitter to write a heartwarming birthday message to her son, Bolu. She thanked him for coming into her life as she acknowledged that everything around had changed following his arrival. Hours later, Starboy came online and tweeted a happy birthday message for his son, whom he referred to as his first love. And that's it on AM News. I am Susan Achin.
Nice one.
Wow. Happy birthday in areas to Bolu.
Yeah.
How time flies.
Yeah.
Just now
9 years. 9
That's
years.
a long time.
We all remember the baby mama saga and everything that trade the birth of that boy.
Yeah, very young.
Yeah.
She
As old as Davido's music.
She was 19.
Wow.
She conceived that little boy.
Yeah,
Okay, away from that, we've seen several other items that made the news. The And the decision of the Federal Executive Council meeting to approve the revised budget yesterday.
Yes.
I think that has to do with the fall in oil prices as a result of the pandemic. Initially, it was pegged at $54 per barrel, but it has to be reviewed to $25 per barrel.
Because a lot of things, as we keep saying, a lot of considerations and compromises here and they have to be made because we're looking at a situation that has affected, is widespread, of course, and has affected every sector. Yeah. So the better we make adjustments, to suit the nation, and the reality on ground. Yeah, the better for all of us.
Yeah, I say good news when I see recoveries from Lagos State and other parts of the nation. 26 recoveries.
That's the interesting thing about Lagos. So many cases are confirmed, but then
so many discharges yet from them again.
And balances.
Even the Edo State governor that is extending the curfew by 14 days. That's a nice one coming from them. So different governors are doing different things for the best.
Similarly from Lagos, I saw that the governor is actually subjecting the review of the lockdown to an online
votes, something like that.
I talked about that yesterday.
Okay, get to vote.
But what do you think?
I'm not sure about that. But anyways, you know that he could still overrule. The government will still overrule at the end of the day. But I think we just
why bringing out the?
Well, it's good. They're trying to the
you want to carry the people along, but still, if it doesn't go the way that the people should be, you still give another.
No, of course. I think it will be the best.
That we take will be hinge on the vote that got from people. That's not just you voting. Maybe you have to give reasons why you want it that way. And then they have to consult the health officials and everyone.
But you know the good thing about this, when in Ansonsa, when it goes south, the people will be to blame. If you say the lockdown should be eased further, and then the government decides to take the highest votes, and then at the end of the day, it turns out to be bad, on the side of the people. Then they'll have themselves to blame.
It's just like now. It's still the people we're blaming now because responsibility have been put on the people, but people are not really still following guidelines and anything.
True.
Yeah. And once again, congratulations to Professor
Gambari.
Yeah. All right, we'll now go across Africa for some more news. Stay with us.
Welcome to News Across Africa on Daybreak Africa. Mauritius declared total recoveries from coronavirus infections as of May 11, 2020. The island nation's official COVID-19 page said 322 people had recovered out of the 332 confirmed cases so far. 10 people have since died. May 11 marked the 15th consecutive day that no new case was recorded in the country. A lockdown, however, remains in place to contain possible spread of the virus. Mauritius becomes the second African country to have declared virus-free status after infection. Mauritania weeks ago reported full recovery, 6 recoveries and a death at the time. Another infection was subsequently recorded. As of May 12, 2020, Africa's sole virus-free nation is Mauritius. Lesotho is the sole African country yet to record a case. Eritrea, Seychelles, and Mauritania each have one active case pending, according to tallies by Johns Hopkins University. Wearing a surgical mask, disposable gloves, and booties to guard against COVID-19, a young Italian woman returned to her homeland Sunday after 18 months as a hostage in Eastern Africa. Silvia Romano lowered her mask briefly to display a broad smile after she stepped off an Italian government plane at Rome Campiano International Airport. She hugged her mother and other family members and touched elbows instead of shaking hands with Italian Foreign Minister Luigi Di Maio. Romano, 24, was working as a volunteer with an Italian humanitarian group when she was abducted in November 2018 during an attack by gunmen in Kenya. Italian Premier Giuseppe Conte has thanked the Italian intelligence agent who worked for her release, which took place Friday in Somalia. Romano was taken to the Italian embassy in Mogadishu after she was freed. Rome-based prosecutors investigate crimes committed abroad against Italian citizens, and they are expected to question her about the kidnapping. Hundreds of protesters in Kenya blocked one of Nairobi's major highways with burning tires to protest government demolitions of the homes of more than 7,000 people and the closure of an adjacent food market. Police used tear gas and water cannons on the protesters, who then looted shops and parked cars. Police responded to a rowdy group that was destroying property on the road, said Nairobi Police Chief Philip Ndolo. If they have grievances, they should express them through the right channels. We will not tolerate destruction of property, Ndolo added. The government had on Thursday closed closed Koruncho market, which serve an estimated 100,000 people who depend on it for their livelihoods and fresh vegetable produce, said Patrick Maynard, the market's chairman. He said the market serves several informal settlements. South Africa has detected cases of African swine fever in the Eastern Cape province. The presence of the disease in the country was confirmed by Minister of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries, Toko Didiza. The outbreak was detected following livestock post-mortem investigation at a municipal farm in Amatole district in April. The country has since notified the World Organization for Animal Health about the African swine fever. African swine fever is caused by a virus that affects domestic pigs and a wild boar. Wild pigs in Africa, such as warthogs and bush pigs, are natural carriers. The disease kills almost all infected pigs and has no treatment and no vaccine. Symptoms include bleeding on the skin and difficulty in breathing. The new outbreak comes months after the government banned the public auction of hoofed livestock to prevent the spread of foot and mouth disease in December. That is the much we have on News Across Africa. Daybreak Africa continues shortly with Lucy and Elvis. Stay tuned.
That was News Across Africa on Daybreak Africa. We now move on to the newspaper review segment where we have Victor Tahemba, who is joining us today once more after I break yesterday.
Victor Tahemba.
Good morning.
Good morning. Did I get
this morning?
Yeah, of course you did.
Tahemba?
Yeah.
Okay, we have a series of news-making headlines this morning across different national dailies, and we'll be starting from the Guardian newspaper. We have a banner headline which says, "Why Buhari appointed Gambari as Chief of Staff?" Below the picture story, how low testing capacity others fuel test kits black market. We also have at virtual meeting, Federal Executive Council okays 47 billion naira to boost electricity supply. Trial of Martins, 3 others for alleged 7.7 billion naira fraud resumes June 30th. A lot of stories there.
Yeah, of course. So maybe we'll just kick off from why Buhari appointed Gambari as Chief of Staff. You know, when you see his CV, it's intimidating.
True.
And it's somebody that really he has all of the experience. It's basically somebody that's very, in fact, at a point I felt he was even too qualified for the post.
True.
Yeah, he's as a the diplomat he has served, and while he served, the UN really used him in very important
leadership
missions, situations, and all of that. You know, he has been kind of instrumental in being the kind of peace broker between the UN and some other world less than despots and all of that.
Yeah.
See, so coming in, I don't think we need to understand why again.
He's already seen why. We know
qualified.
It's shown.
Yes.
Somebody actually described his appointment as a round peg in a round hole.
Yes, obviously, because imagine. Just imagine. All of his records so far, been in the UN as Nigerian representative for 9 years, which happens to be the longest we've ever get to have. And just as he was finishing that particular reign, he was also appointed under Secretary General, which at that time was the second highest post to the Secretary General. So it means that after this Kofi Annan, the next person you are talking to would be him and all of that. So yes, it's actually a round hole. So it means he can serve as a perfect interface between government at least on local level in Nigeria, and then also interface on the president on international level, and then he will be, and basically he's somebody who is well respected. He serves and South Africa for his role he played in the
For almost a decade, the Nigerian army have given their all to ensure that our dear country is not overrun by Boko Haram insurgents. Some have in the process paid the ultimate price, while many will forever live with indelible scars occasioned by their determination to protect the country, no matter the hurdle. Despite these, they have remained resolute and undaunted, and today, all territories the insurgents once took control of have been recaptured and normalcy restored. And now, for the first time in a long time, the end of Boko Haram is foreseeable. Therefore, the wisest thing for the remaining insurgents to do is to surrender today or face total destruction from the army. Remember, the Nigerian